Hello, dear students. This is Professor Dr. Zia Ahmed. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we shall be talking about autobiography as a research method. So it is something which is very less known to the people, especially to the students here. So that is the kind of research we shall be conducting according to the history of life. That history of life may be my personal history of life, or it may be the history of life of somebody else. So here we shall see the theoretical as well as analytical perspective. In introduction, for example, we can see that this type of research is very much beneficial in bridging the personal as well as scholarly research. Because if somebody is conducting autobiographical research, at that time he is doing personal research, and definitely some type of knowledge would be created, and that is why it bridges the gap. So therefore, definitely it will proceed further in order to explore the identity of the people, memory, and subjectivity. So that is why biographical sketches or autobiographical sketches, they would let us know what type of or who this person is going to be, and what were in his memories that he has recorded all that, and in that way what type of memories that person has preferred or what type of memories have been unpreferred. So as a result, it will be a subjective matter as well. This type of research aligns itself with the postmodernist and feminist epistemologies, because in feminist research also the voice, the resistance is portrayed. In postmodern also, what life presents, that is ununderstanding competition of life, that is also one of the things that we can understand through this biographical or autobiographical research. So it means that it would be definitely a type of personal experience, the collection of personal experiences also, and those will be a very legitimate data, because nobody wants to portray anything wrong or less important. All important things would be there in case of this autobiographical or biographical research. It can be defined in a number of ways. Number one, it is the using of the life narratives. That may be your personal self narrative or other people's narrative. When it is auto, it may be your self narrative. When it is biography, it may be the life history of somebody else. When we conduct research on that, that is called auto or biographical research method. In this, we reject actually what is positivist objectivity. That rejects, because here knowledge can be constructed with the kind of knowledge which is provided by a subject. So therefore, the researcher and the subject and instrument all combined together, research completes only at that time when the researcher himself mostly would be the subject and he would be the instrument also. So that is why a type of subjectivity is there. That is the reason that we find the opinion of Alice Buchner when he says that self-narrative reveals cultural intersectionality. That means when you read something, when you are living in different cultures, your own life, when it is intersecting with the culture, that is in fact described through that. So having defined, let us talk about some of the theoretical foundations. As I already said, that feminist theory is very much important, because here feminist theory is the voice, identity, and resistance. All these things combined together. Stanley Richardson says that when you record the biography of somebody or conduct research on your own personal autobiography, so actually you are tracing these things in that is identity, voice, and the resistance. So that is why feminist theory is quite relevant to this. Second one is postmodernist theory, that believes in the subjectivity. It means that whatever I believe, I can reflect on that, I can talk about myself, and the autobiographical research also does the same. So that is why Foucault and Derrida's ideology can be incorporated in the postmodernism, and the same can be incorporated in the autobiography or biographical research. So therefore, this is a type of generation of knowledge which is constructivist knowledge. For example, here we know that the researcher and the participant, both of these people, maybe at one person at one time, or it may be two persons at a time, these two people combine hands together in order to co-construct the knowledge between the two. So that is why it is called constructivist view of knowledge. There are different methods which are used in it. For example, autobiographical research method. It means that According to Richardson, researcher's own life is analyzed and critically analyzed. Then is the biographical research, it means that the other people's life. So much it is very easy. But then autoethnography, this is something which is a little bit difficult to understand. That means it will be not only personal description of yourself, but also with respect to the culture in which you are living. So the researcher would be required to undergo both personal history as well as the cultural context. This is told by Ellis. And in the same way, we have also another type of method in this research, that is historical or narrative inquiry. I mean, we can see that how somebody has described the history of that person, the history of life stories that can be analyzed. So these are different aspects or the methodological variants we can employ in order to conduct this research. There are some of the concerns which may be, number one is epistemological and number two ethical concern. How epistemological? That means the authenticity of representation and privacy. There is a problem that in the autobiography especially, one may be hiding certain things and one may not be letting to tell because of fear of privacy, so that will be a doubtful authenticity of such a source. Then it is the reflexivity that involves definitely that how much the person is morally bound, how much the person is ethical. If that ethicality is very strong, the reflexivity will also be very strong. But if the ethicality is not that strong, definitely the person will not be reflecting in that way. So it means that writing self involves others also, especially the consent is required about the sensitivity of information. People do not take that kind of sensitivity, and especially if some person has died whose biography you are using, that sensitivity may be a problem. In the same way, knowledge is situated and partial. Here in this case, whatever the knowledge is present in the biography or autobiography, that knowledge is created with respect of situation or context. But if this situation is not complete or we are unable to understand the situation, we may not be understanding the whole data in a good way. So therefore, the problems are there. The problems should be addressed. And then come some of the examples where this autobiographical or biographical research is conducted already. Grumet, for example, conducted research in education where he tried to find out or analyze women's teaching experiences. Cultural studies were conducted by Hall in 2017 where he tried to find out what is the impact of identity on diaspora who are living in the other countries. In the same way, Winterson also came up in 2011 with the literary studies where he tried to find out trauma and self-representation. So these three are the big examples of this type of research. It has some of the benefits. For example, it's deeply contextual, and it humanizes the research, it encourages reflexivity, connects personal and the social dimension. So it means that in this research, context is very much important, and in that way, not only the history of life of a person would be understood, but also the context would be understood. It goes to talk more about human affairs and human issues, and then it therefore lets us understand what is the reflection of a particular person. So that is why it helps us understand the personal story in the context of the social dimension. But definitely, where there are some of the benefits, there may be some harms also. For example, it has got certain limitations. For example, there's a risk of self-indulgence. I mean, if you try to, praise yourself, there will be a self-indulgence. Reliability and generalizability is an issue in this type of research. Ethically, it is more complex. Then it requires narrative skills also to understand the narration of the story. Theoretical opinion are also important here as for every research. For example, here we can say that the reconfiguration takes place or what counts as data. The data, for example, when somebody is having a data in the shape of the stories and that person begins to tell, it may reconfigure. In the same way, if we are reading the biographical story of somebody else, when we listen to that, when we write that, it may be having a little bit of difference. So knowledge in this type of research is dialogical. I mean, the researcher and the material which is being produced, a type of dialogue takes place between the two, and as a result, this research is embodied in this type of dialogue. Then the researcher's voice, method plus meaning. It is with respect to researcher, what type of method he is using for analyzing or critically seeing the data, and what type of meaning he deduces. It is therefore evocative, and it is very much important that we can have this type of research. We can therefore conclude here that this is the type of research where the personal and analytical both merge together. And so 100% it goes to challenge the objectivity of all those things which are involved. It promotes empathy and self-understanding. That is some of the right things, and it is vital for postmodern inquiry. So if you want to construct postmodern knowledge, that will be very much essential type of research. And here are some of the references, possibly if you want to see. So students, I'm going to sign off from here. You might have understood some of it, though not 100%, but a little bit of understanding might have taken place. If so, do not fail to hit the subscribe button as well as the like button. See you in some next video very soon. Thank you for watching.